Welcome to UPSC Preparation Day 11. Today we are going to study about GS paper 2023. We are going to solve some of the general studies questions from the year 2023. So let's begin. Consider in India, prisons are managed by state government with their own rules and regulations for the day-to-day administration of prisons. In India, prisons are governed by Prisons Act 1894, which expressly kept the subject of prisons in the control of provincial government. So both the statements are correct, and statement 2 is the correct explanation of statement 1. Prison management is indeed a state function, and the Prisons Act 1894 was the first legislation that governed prison management and administration in India. Which one of the following statements best reflect the chief purpose of constitution of a country? So constitution defines and limits the power of the government. It is the supreme law of India. It lays down the framework defining fundamental political code, structure, procedure, powers and duties of government institution. So basically the presence of constitution defines and limits the powers of the government. Which constitutional amendment was believed to be enacted to overcome the judicial interpretation of fundamental right? In India, first amendment to constitution is widely considered to have enacted to overcome the judicial interpretation of the fundamental right. Consider the following organization: National Commission for Backward Classes, National Human Rights Commission, National Law Commission, National Consumer Disputes Redressal. How many of above are constitutional bodies? Only one. That is, National Commission for Backward Classes is the only constitutional body established by an Act of Parliament in 1993. National Commission for Backward Classes became a constitutional body after the Constitution Act 2018, 102nd Amendment. Consider the following. If election of president in India is declared void by Supreme Court of India, all act done by him or her in the performance of duties of his or her office before date of decision become invalid. Election for post of president of India can be postponed because some legislative assemblies have been dissolved and elections are yet to take place. When a bill is presented to President of India, Constitution prescribes time limits within which he or she has to declare his or her assent. How many are correct? None of them are correct. First of all, the President's actions are protected and they do not become invalid. They remain valid under Article 71 of the Constitution. The election for the President cannot be postponed due to dissolution of some legislative assemblies. There is no time limit for the presidential assent to a bill. So all the three options were incorrect. Remember that President's actions are always protected. That is, they do not become invalid even if the President's election is declared invalid. And there is no time limit for presidential assent to a bill. With reference to finance bill, consider the following. When Lok Sabha transcribes money bill to Rajya Sabha, it can amend or reject the bill. It can't amend or reject the bill. It can only make recommendations. So with reference to finance bill, the following statement is true. That is, when Lok Sabha transmits money bill to Rajya Sabha can't amend or reject the bill. It can only make a recommendation. Consider regarding community reserve. Chief Wildlife Warden of state becomes governing authority of such forest. Hunting is not allowed in such area. People in such areas are allowed to collect non-timber forest produce. People of such area are allowed traditional agricultural practices. How many of the statements are correct? Only two statements are correct. In a community reserve, hunting is not allowed and people are allowed to collect non-timber products. With reference to scheduled area, consider the following. How many of the above statements are correct? Within a state, notification of a scheduled area takes place through an order of the president. So it's the president who decides which area to be demarcated as scheduled area. The largest administrative unit forming the scheduled area is the district, and the lowest is the cluster of villages of the block. So the largest administrative unit forming the scheduled area is the district, and the lowest is the cluster of villages in the block. Consider statement 1. Supreme Court of India has held in some judgments that the reservation policies made under Article 16 of the Constitution of India would be limited by Article 335 for maintenance of efficiency of administration. Article 335 of Constitution of India defines the team efficiency of administration. So according to this, statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is not correct. Indian Sahni versus Union of India, the court ruled reservation cannot exceed 50% to ensure administrative efficiency. Statement 2 is incorrect. Article 335 does not explicitly define efficiency of administration. In which of the following region was Dhanya Kataka, which flourished as a prominent British centre under the Mahasangitas, located? Amravati in Andhra Pradesh is the site of ancient Dhanya Kataka, an important town in Deccan capital and capital of later Satavahana. With reference to ancient India, consider following. Concept of stupa is Buddhist in origin. Stupa was generally a repository of relics. Stupa was a votive and commemorative structure in Buddhist tradition. So the second and third option are correct. Stupa is generally a repository of relics. Stupa was a votive and commemorative structure in Buddhist tradition. With reference to southern India, Korkai, Pumpuhar and Muchuri were well known what? These were well known ports. Which of the following explain the practice of Vatta Kirutai as mentioned in Sangam poem? Vatta Kirutai means a king defeated in a battle, committing ritual suicide by starving himself to death. So let's stop here. We are going to study about the general studies paper in our next session. So thank you so much for joining in today. See you tomorrow. Have a good day.